Hello and welcome back to Short Story Focus. Thank you for stopping by. Today we're going to continue our exploration of the anthology Burning Chrome by William Gibson. And the story this time around is The Belonging Kind, written by William Gibson and John Shirley as a writing team. They did this in 1981 and it first appeared in the anthology Shadows 4. The Belonging Kind is a short story that has a typical, or I would say more traditional, short story progression. The hero is existing in his ordinary world and his name is Cowritten, and he is at a bar, and while he's at the bar he approaches a young lady to speak with her, and as he's speaking to her he is kind of grading himself and he's being hard on himself. I mean, you know what I mean. You approach somebody you've never seen before but you're interested in them, you start talking to them, and then you're judging yourself. You're like, oh, why the hell did I say that? Or, you know, they're not going to be impressed by that, or nice job, dumbass. Maybe you're not that hard on yourself. So as we learn in the story, the shocking thing about that is that Cowritten is a linguist and he teaches at a college. And so it's kind of odd that he's very awkward when trying to interact with people and trying to talk to women. And he's also really not that great at talking to large groups of people. And so he is admittedly tough on himself. And I thought it was interesting when Cowritten is self-describing within the story. He describes himself, and it basically is the feature set of William Gibson. And so he's really not all that positive on his looks, you know, with the long neck and the slight body, and is starting to bald a little bit. And that must be a tough way to be, you know, in your late 20s, early 30s. But I remember when he was describing it, I just thought to myself, yeah, me too. Cowritten finds that he is inexplainably drawn to this woman. And so when she leaves the bar, he wants to follow her. And the reason is because he usually doesn't do that well. She actually spoke to him and accepted a drink from him and the whole 9 yards. And she kind of gave a patent reply to his, I guess you would say his come on. You know, she wasn't mean, and she was actually kind of nice. And there's some other interesting things that go on there. And when she leaves, he follows her. And this is the first time he's ever done anything like that. And when he's following her, he notices that she transforms. It would be interesting to know how much of this story is William Gibson and how much of this story is John Shirley. There is definitely an element of very minor body horror, maybe natural body modification. It's odd and it's intriguing, and definitely worth exploring. It's definitely something you want to figure out when you read the story. Almost all of the body horror appears to be part of a natural process, maybe inherent to the beings. And so as the story progresses, Cowritten makes one wrong turn after another. He loses track of this woman and also a man who she eventually turns up with, and he keeps trying to find them. And I'm leaving a lot out here because I definitely want you to be able to discover for yourself. It's well worth it. And so he's kind of on the lookout for them, and it becomes such a compulsion that it impacts the rest of his life drastically. And throughout the web of the story and the progress of the story, we begin to see that not only is he hunting them, but that this is an overall story of transformation. Cowritten comes to an astounding revelation throughout the progress of the story, and things turn out to be inexorable and inevitable. And I remember when I was reading, I was thinking, oh no, or maybe, oh yeah, maybe because I don't know that it's necessarily, a bad thing. But it reminded me a little bit of one of the elements of many other maybe proto or pre-cyberpunk stories, and that is, like the way Philip K. Dick plays around with identity. Gibson did win the Philip K. Dick Award for Neuromancer. So, and he was one of the first people to get the Hugo Nebula and the Philip K. Dick. He got like a trifecta there. So, I mean, he's good for a reason. So with this one, I wholeheartedly recommend diving in and seeing how the team up of Gibson and Shirley led to this interesting kind of studious and scholarly man having this amazing kind of rendezvous with his own changes, transformations, and kind of reorientation throughout the story. It all comes together very well in the end, and it's well worth a quick exploration. And once again, it is a short story, so you're not going to put a lot of time in, but you are going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it. One of the things that I really enjoyed about the story as I was reading it was that it was a great nostalgic dive into the 80s. You know, when this was written in 1981, of course, I didn't read it back then, although I was probably somewhat aware of Gibson coming up through science fiction. I was a science fiction reader then, but reading it now, it is just a nice. There's a nice, pleasant twang of nostalgia that comes through, even though this is just about a horror story. For Cowritten, there's another group of people who are not sad about this nightlife existence at all. For them, and maybe even for him, it becomes a means of survival. So I recommend this one, and I hope you enjoy reading it.